This has been fun. This is one of my favorite places as of now. I've never been here before, but I hope the company decides to come back here again. You can just feel the energy, the crowd, and just everything just seems really awesome right now. I'm very excited about our new system, and our new plan, our new way, our new culture, especially as I begin to digest that and figure out how to apply that. I'm very excited about it. I'm excited about our company. I keep listening to the people express, how thrilled they are to be part of our company and how good it is. And I'm telling you, we are an unbelievable company. And we just seem to get better and better and better. The leadership we have, John and Rick and all of them, it's just unbelievable. I look back, 27 years old, had a job I hated, had no money, no future that I was aware of, no college, unhappy. And somebody invites me to a meeting somewhere. That's May 20th, 1980. And then little did I know that day, my whole life would take a different direction. It was like stepping into a parallel universe, a bubble of business, where everything that they said they meant what they said. And when they said they would deliver, they did. And it embarked us, Martin and I, on a life that's almost hard to believe, the kind of things that we've done and been able to do and enjoy, and the kind of life that we've been able to live. And I was just thinking, over the years, I grew up in a little country house where the second bedroom, the only other bedroom, was held up by an automobile jack. And then after Primerica, now, when I take off, I go get an Italian villa somewhere to live in. Just how does that happen? I think of when I was a kid, I used to work to clean out boats, at the marina for $1.50 an hour. Now, last time we rented a yacht, we floated into the Monte Carlo Bay, and my 3 little boys put their blue blazers on over beach. How does that happen to somebody like me because of this company, because of Primerica? We've gone, we just had an extraordinary life, from safaris to time in China. I've been to Europe over 60 times, mostly with my friends. This company has delivered in every single way it said that it would. It can change your life in ways that you can barely imagine. There's a price that you have to pay, and there's a deeper story to all of this. But I hope that I can talk a little bit tonight about you personally, your heart, who you are, and what you're going to have to do to make this happen. There's nothing worse than sitting there listening to winners get up here as you doubt in your heart who you are, or how capable you are, or if you can get it done. One of the worst feelings in the world, and you got to know how to overcome that. There's a deeper story to how great Primerica is. I know we talk about it, the system and all the great leadership, but there's a bigger hand. There's God's hand behind that. That is who's great about this. And I want to tell you a little bit about my own story, since it's my time, it's my story. 2 years before I found Primerica, before I knew my wife, I'd become a Christian, and I was very enthusiastic and excited. I was so happy because I changed so dramatically, and I couldn't get enough of it. And I had heard about people that went down to the desert and prayed and fasted, so I decided that I was going to go down to the Palm Desert, rent a room, and just basically sit in a room and pray and plead with God, to intervene in my life and to turn it around and make it different. And I prayed for 3 things, 3 specific things over that 3-day period. And one was that some people would pray for me continuously. In fact, I even wanted it to be older women, because I'd read these books how these old women prayed for people. I prayed for that. Someone would do it forever. I prayed that he would send me a wife of his choosing and not my own. And I prayed for success. And the words I used was, I pray that you'd help me win and be successful and walk with kings and queens and not be affected by it, to help further the kingdom. And I stayed there for 3.5 days. Drank out of a little old drink, hot water out of the sink, and just read, and kind of pleaded. And but I had to come home because I had an appointment with this guy. And so I got in the car, went back to Pasadena, and went to Marie Callender's to meet him, and walked in, sat down, And he said, geez, Mike, I hope you don't mind, but I brought my daughter along. Her name is Marna. So I was gone for 2 hours before that prayer was answered. And then on Sunday night, that following night, a couple of old twins came up to me and said that they would like to pray for me. And then another lady right behind them, they prayed for me till they were 102 years old. They just passed away. Over 30 years, every day faithfully. Now the third prayer didn't happen that quickly, primarily. I still had a few more years to go, and I think he was preparing me for it. Because he put me in seemingly the most difficult situations, jobs I couldn't stand, wasn't feeling good. But then when Primerica came along that day, May 20th, 1980, that was the answer, the final answer to that prayer. So under lunch, when I talk to people about, you got to know this is where you belong, you got to know God wants you, or whatever that means to you, that's what gives you the ability, the drive, the stick-to-itiveness, the hope that you can get this done. That someone more powerful than you wants you to win, wants you to be somebody, wants you to feel good about it, doesn't want you to live in fear. You know, we find people here in Primerica, I believe that with all my heart. When we talk about recruiting every day, you don't really develop people here. People develop themselves. But certain people are born to do certain things. You see little kids, when they're born, one will be, he'll take the clock apart and put them back together again. And he was born kind of to be an engineer or something. That's what they like. And another little kid is born, and they just love music, and they can write it, read it, think about it, play. It was just who they are, what they were born to do. And if they get in that field in their life, they're generally pretty happy, pretty successful, and feel good about themselves. There were people born to do Primerica. That's who they are. What we're about is what turns them on. You know, motivating people, encouraging people, the camaraderie. This company pushed every button in me. It satisfied the need to compete. It gave me a sense of camaraderie with other people. It gave me an opportunity to make more and more money. The recognition felt great. I love to motivate and inspire and do all those things. So it was the right place. It was the right place for me to be. We're able to use the gifts that I have. And for so many of you out there, you're the same way. You're here because you like it. You're here because it does something to you that you like. Now you got to do another part, though. Not just because this kind of fits who you are, you still have to display courage, strength, stick-to-itiveness, hard work, all those kind of things. That's your part. You might be in a place that you were exactly born to do, but if you don't finish that, it's not going to work. I look back at all the little decisions that I made, and we'll all look back eventually and look at the decisions we made, and we'll either be happy with them, or we're going to be disappointed with them, and filled with regrets. And I do look back at the little deals that I did that I didn't want to do, the recruiting call I didn't want to go on. Those were the times where I reaped the most benefit. I think some of you might have heard this story, but I remember when I was first in the business, this guy called me and he wanted me to tell him about the business. He wanted to do it like on a Saturday night. It was in my office, and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want to go out on a Saturday night. I want to go to a movie with Martin. I've been working all week, but there's no way I wouldn't do it, you know. So I got there, and this guy came in the office, and he was bizarre. You know, he was dressed in pink. He had pink everything: white hair, white shoes, white belt, pink suit. Talked funny, and but I still tried to recruit him because I wanted to get some more numbers in him, you know. So I did. And he brought one person, just one. Never saw him again in my life. Can't remember his name. Brought one person, and that person led to Hector Lamarck in that whole hierarchy. And it's always that last call, that hardest thing, the one you don't want to do, that reaps the most reward, the most benefit. And you think about how many times, you know, as you get older in the business, you have a tendency to try to read situations before you get there, and you have a tendency to not do them with as much enthusiasm you do in the beginning. There were so many times as I grew up in this business that I wanted to rationalize why I could be mediocre. I don't want you for a minute to think that guys like me got up here, was confident from day one, tore it up, did everything right, everything fell together. That's just not true. That's not the personal story. Later, as we get, do this more, we speak with much more confidence, and maybe we kind of forget that. But I work very hard at remembering those things, because the number one goal for me now in my life is to watch people win, to see them grow, to see their lives change in a deep, permanent, and meaningful way. But I can remember wanting to be mediocre, because I didn't want to face things that I was afraid of. I didn't want to have to speak in public. Was there some way I could get around doing that and still do primerica? So I had a choice there. Be mediocre, be average, or fight something that I was afraid of. I chose to fight it. I remember sitting in my office when the pressure of the competition, where I started doubting myself whether I could do it, and started counting each person in my office, wondering how little apps they could do. And I would do okay if I just did 20 sales a month or 30 sales a month. I mean, I'd make $3,000 or $4,000, and that was a whole lot more than I was making. That great temptation that we all have to not do our best to get into some sort of comfort place, so we don't have to feel those feelings of anxiety and fear. But I wanted to win way more than that. And every time I came up in a situation that was tough, because underlying, that's why I told you how I went to the desert, underlying, I knew I was where I was supposed to be, and I was not here to lose or to cower or to quit or to give up. That's not why I was here. I knew I had to face those things, and I did. And most winners in this business faced everything that they had to do. All you got to do, I was thinking of a story today, people that show extraordinary courage and guts. I was thinking of Susan and our carry-on. I know them, and I know what they've been through. And I remember a couple of years ago, I was thinking, I don't know if they'll get through it. I don't know if I had the strength to get through what they're going through, of which they don't talk about with anybody because they're strong folks. And now 2 years later, they're exploding. They will be $1 million earners in a year. Easy. It's because they show courage and guts, where the average person doesn't do that, won't work their way through. They were able to do that. Do you know what you got to do with this business? Can you just put 18 months of total hard work together? 18 months, turn off the TV, don't listen to the news, quit going out and having tons of fun. Just for 18 months, work like it's a blur. That's all you need. Listen, the rewards in this business are staggering. Bobby Buisson's probably, I don't know if he's in here right now, but he probably made $80 to $100 million since he's been here. And Bobby, I bet you haven't recruited a person in 29 years. Larry Waddell's back there. I bet you haven't recruited a person in 25 years. Mike Sharpe is standing here, and I don't believe I've recruited anybody in 17, 18 years. All the hierarchy, all the growth came in that short period of time where you work like a dog and doing everything basically right in terms of attitude and focus. Doing it all the way you're supposed to do it. You put it together. Now some people come to Primerica ready for it. They've learned some of life's lessons. They've been through hard stuff. They know how to be positive. Some of you don't. Some of your learning curve is going to be in Primerica. You might have been here 2 years. You might be here 5 years. But sooner or later, you need that 18 months of absolute, total work where you are personally recruiting continually and drawing people around you like a magnet. That's what's going to happen if you're going to win. Bill O'Rinder was talking yesterday about replacement. He was dead on that. Dead on. I think I hired 11 people myself that stuck and went on to become RVPs. And out of that came an extraordinary organization because the replacement system is right. And you know what? Over the years, that was the one place in our company that tension could arise. It was always right there. In promoting people, it was always where the tension could arise, especially with big bonuses, because you want to promote your guy, and yet you know it means a pay cut. And then replacement. You don't want to promote somebody out, and then you don't have anything, or then you keep them in too long, they become dispirited, and then you lose both of everything. And one thing I love about what we have going right now, it makes you view this just a little bit differently. And I think if I was growing up in the business now, even though